guys, welcome to day 16 of PODMAS for the Autism Mommy podcast. This is your girl, Steffi Kiss. Now, before we get into today's episode, I just wanted to remind you once again, if you haven't done so already, to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Rate 5 stars, please. If you think this podcast is great, or even if you don't think it's all that great, please give me 5 stars. When you rate a podcast 5 stars, it raises how many people will actually come across it in the algorithm. So we just want more people to be able to come across the Autism Mommy podcast, because there's so many parents, especially parents with kids on the spectrum, who I believe can benefit from this podcast. Secondly, leave me a review. Let me know how I'm doing. How are you liking PODMAS? Are you excited for the new episodes to start up on December 27th? Are there any topics that you would like me to dive deeper into? Are there any guests that you would like to hear on the podcast? Let me know. Thirdly, subscribe to the podcast wherever you are listening, whether it is Apple Podcast, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeart, wherever you're listening to your podcast right now in this moment, make sure you hit the subscribe button just so you never miss an episode. And while we're speaking about never missing anything, make sure that you sign up for my mailing list as well. The link will be down in the description bar for you to sign up for the mailing list so that you can stay up to date on all things Autism Mommy, on all things Steffi Kiss, on all things possible merch, announcements, and everything that I have in store for you guys, okay? On previous emails for my email list, I have shared my calming Spotify list. I have shared my favorite yogi for my self-care workout, morning stretches and all of that. So yeah, just if you sign up for the mailing list, you will be privy to all of that information as well. So getting into today's topic, just in time for the holidays, we are talking literally family and holidays. With Christmas about a week away and New Year's Eve shortly thereafter, there are going to be quite a few gatherings coming up. And I know as an autism mom, this can cause some kind of anxiety. The thought of forcing your child to interact or be around a lot of people they may not be familiar with can seem daunting, especially if they aren't used to spaces like that. Ethan and I have been fortunate to be part of a small, tightly knit family where he tends to see the same people at every gathering. So it has become very familiar for him, but in the off chance we're going somewhere new, I'm kind of weary of how he might react. I'm the type of mom who doesn't like to force social settings on her kid. Now, some might say that I'm doing him a disservice. Some might say that I'm just not getting him used to the real world. I just don't find it good to force my kid to feel uncomfortable for long periods of time just because society says I should. Now, I'm not saying to never expose your child to social settings at all, but if you notice it's just not for them, I'm the mom who will go home for sure. People, even if they are on the spectrum or not, have thresholds of how much they can withstand social settings. Sometimes you reach your limit, and we just need to normalize being able to say, okay, I'm over it, it's time to go, without any repercussions or feeling guilty. For a child on the spectrum, there are so many other factors we as parents might not take into account. For example, is it really loud in here? Is the smell of all the delicious food overpowering? Or does this house just love Glade plugins or candles and it's a tad overwhelming? Are there a lot of people with different energies that can affect your child? Keep all these things in mind when seeing if your child is coping with the new environment. Now, it is the holidays, so of course you want to spend it with your loved ones as much as you can. So you want to make sure your child is as comfortable as possible, especially if it is a brand new environment. Some things I personally do for Ethan is make sure his number one thing, his iPad is charged and we are connected to the Wi-Fi. And I have a backup phone or tablet on deck just in case. Because I know as long as he has access to his version of the internet, he will be fine. If we don't have that, our trip might get cut very short because he will not be with the shits at all. Secondly, I either make sure he is in comfortable clothes he picked, or I have sweats in the car he can change into. Ethan loves to be comfortable. Jeans are not his cup of tea. He can get tired of them very quickly. Having his favorite pants can make all the difference when making him feel comfortable. If it is loud or too rowdy, I would ask if there's somewhere he can just go to chill. Somewhere maybe away from the party where we can minimize the sensory input and avoid a possible meltdown. If you have a picky eater, either make sure they are full before you head over to the shindig, or bring your own special foods with you. My family usually has Publix chicken on deck, and if they don't, they'll definitely let me know. They are your family, so they're going to try their best to make not only you, but your little one feel comfortable. Communicate with your family, let them know how to make your child feel comfortable. This is your family or your friends, and I'm sure they would have no issues accommodating your child if they are having a rough time. Remember, the holidays are about loved ones. So if you want your baby to feel loved and comfortable, trying to force them to do things they don't want to doesn't provide a positive association with the holidays. Let them come around when they feel they are ready to come around. Sometimes just being in the general area is enough to make them feel included. Don't isolate yourself, mama, and remember, as always,
bitch, you doing a good job. Bitch, you doing a good job. Bitch, you doing a good job. Bitch, you doing a good job.